Hey, Richard,
Have we started?
lay me down a fat beat.
A beat? Beat? This is a beat.
Welcome to the Cold Pops podcast, aka Film Franchise Fortnights. David Corrioos on the mic. Take it away, David Corrioos.
I'm hanging with my friends. I like them a lot and they make me feel special. Cold Popture doing film franchise.
Yeah, welcome to the Cold Popture podcast. My name is AJ.
Can I stop the beat?
Yeah,
My name is Richard, and I'm here too.
and today on the podcast we have special guest, world famous fisherman and winner of the 1982 Best Actor Award at the Belfast Film Festival. It's David Corrioos.
Oh, hello! I'm a big fan of fishing, and I'm surprised you pulled that out of the old treasure chest.
I'm surprised you managed to win that 11 years before you were born. I do have to ask though, is that Belfast in Ireland, or is that Belfast, the suburb in Christchurch, New Zealand?
You know the answer. We don't need to put him down anymore.
Okay.
Ireland.
Whichever. It's neither Belfast would be more impressive.
One would be significantly more impressive.
Sorry, let me rephrase that. Neither would be impressive. One's significantly less impressive.
Right, okay. I'll allow that.
Anyway, this is a podcast where usually it's just me and Richard, but Dave's joining us today out of the kindness of his heart.
Yeah, because we wanted him to be here.
I wanted to be here.
And he wanted to be here as well.
This is a podcast where we watch and review an entire film franchise in one fortnight, and well, we don't review it until now. This is the review.
I'm going to interrupt you there. I don't like the word review.
Yeah.
I usually say we discuss them.
Yeah, I agree.
This isn't a review podcast. This is a
If you're here for reviews, stop,
fuck off.
unsubscribe. And this past fortnight, we invited Dave on to talk about the monolith of a franchise that is the two Raid films. There's only two of them.
Oh, man,
I was making a joke.
You must be like so happy to just do two films, because the last couple of franchises have been like
Wow.
We had 14 Land Before Time films, and before that we had 3 two-film franchises in a row, 2 of which were actually one film, split into 2.
Really?
Yeah, but before that was Godzilla, which was 30, so...
This is a very bipolar workload, this podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the films we're going to be discussing on this podcast today are The Raid Redemption, which came out in 2011 and was directed by Gareth Evans, and The Raid 2 Berandal, which came out in 2014 and was also directed by Gareth Evans. These films are martial arts movies, and they utilize an Indonesian form of martial arts known as pencak silat, which according to Wikipedia is a full-body fighting form incorporating strikes, grappling and throwing in addition to weaponry. So you'll notice in the films they fight with anything, be that their bodies, be that shards of glass.
Yeah,
whatever.
like with strikes and even weaponry.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks so cool. It
does.
So good. Oh, man.
Every part of the body is used and is subject to attack. Pencak silat was practiced not only for physical defense but also for psychological ends.
What's the psychological ends?
I don't know. I don't know if that came across.
Psych out your opponent by
Yeah.
beating the fuck out of them.
Yeah, like when there was like an amazing bit where they'll hit an elbow and then a knee just to make sure you're in pain, and then they'll strike you in the face.
Yeah.
So Dave, before we go any further, would you do us the honours of telling us what is The Raid Redemption about, the first Raid film?
Oh, okay. The Raid Redemption is a film about a group of cops that go into a big it was like an apartment block, and pretty much they're trying to apprehend the guy at the top. I forgot what his name is. Razor? No, that was the second one.
Mad Dog.
No,
Mad Dog's one of the hot.
Yeah, Mad Dog's like one of the.
Mad Dog's the main bad guy.
Yeah, so there's like the big.
Let's be honest.
Mad Dog's the final boss.
So there's like a big dude at the top.
Yeah.
And they've got to get to the top of the building to apprehend him. And throughout the film, they have to pretty much, this group of maybe I think they're like 20 cops have to.
30.
30 cops have to fight off everyone that pretty much lives there. There are a couple of like all good people in there, but most of them are.
It's an excruciatingly simple plot, isn't it? Would you guys agree? Not excruciating in a bad way. It's just you can explain it in a sentence.
I don't know. I think excruciating was just a superfluous adjective.
Sure.
It's a simple plot.
It's a simple plot.
Yeah.
They've got to get to the top of the building and arrest the guy at the top.
Yeah.
But then things aren't always as they seem.
Gareth Evans, the director, actually designed the film to be a full-on action film and has later gone to describe it as a survival horror, which I think is a cool way of looking at it.
Yeah, I was talking about that with Dave today, that the first one is, survival horror. Like, it's very much a horror, and because you're about the language of horror as, like, scares and stuff like that, but then instead of scares in this one, I guess it uses action. And then the second one, as we'll go on to discuss, is like a full-fledged drama, and the language of that, it replaces with action.
Sure. So, Dave, now that you've explained the simple plot of the first film, you could be led to believe that the second film's plot would be just as simple, right?
Nah.
No? Oh, no. Tell me what the plot of the Raid 2 Berandal is.
Oh, Raid 2 is pretty much the main character becomes an undercover cop and has to help this team of like private people, not the main cops. I'm really good at simplifying stuff.
Private people.
And they use them to try infiltrate the massive gangs that are about to start fighting. So like the Japanese versus the is it the Indonesians?
Well, I assume so. It's set in Indonesia.
Yeah, so they've got to there's some stuff happening, and the main character gets involved.
It's the simplest way I can think of describing it is if the first one was about a raid on a building, this one's the long game. This one's about an undercover cop doing a raid on a gang. Yeah,
no, it'd be like both titles. It's like the raid means different things. Like for the first one, the raid is like a loud raid of a building. And then the next one's like a raid in the sense of like you're infiltrating.
Yeah, an infiltration, little fun fact about the Raid 2 is that it's Samuel L. Jackson's favourite movie.
Really?
That's what he said.
Oh, he's got good taste.
Both films are actually regarded by critics to be two of the best action films of all time. But according to our trusty, faithful Rotten Tomatoes, which I watched a Vox video on today telling me why you shouldn't use it.
Now is Vox going to be the gospel of this podcast?
One of them is preferred. But before I tell you the Rotten Tomatoes scores, boys, lads, my best friends, how do you rank the two Raid films?
Well, like overall, or like
in comparison to each other, which one's the best one?
Oh, I'd say number one is the better one. I mean, it's the one that's going to have the highest score. But
I'm asking what you think.
What do I think? Oh, I like them for completely different reasons. I think the Raid 2 I'm going to think about more than the Raid 1. The Raid is such a fun film, but the Raid 2 gets just so much deeper, and it's a bit longer. Like I felt
it's considerably longer.
Yeah, I felt like the length of it. But what was great was that every time I was about to go, oh my gosh, this is really long, that scene became really important for like a later fight scene, and kind of gave a bit of like weight to a later fight scene.
Yeah, no, that's good. Dave and I were talking about it earlier today, that it's the difference between the two and like the preference and what it says about which one you prefer is kind of similar to Kill Bill 1 and 2. Is that like the first one is a lot more action packed, and if you're like people fighting each other, that's the better one. But then if you're like you want depth of your characters and everything like that, it's more the second one. But having said that, I can't remember which. I say I prefer Kill Bill Volume 1, but I historically preferred Volume 2. But I'd say I prefer the Raid 1.
See, because like the Raid 2 though just kind of expands on everything that the Raid 1 did. Like the Raid 1 had so many good just scenes where something would go down and you're just like, holy shit, where did that come from? Like the scene where I think it was was it Rama was fighting one of the dudes, and the door had been broken down, and Rama pushes the guy's head into like the jagged edges of a door and like kind of stabs him in the face, and you're like, oh my gosh, that is so brutal. But then in the Raid 2 you just get like heaps more and just more creative ways of killing people, really. One of my favorite ones was when they were doing the mud scene in the Raid 2. One dude just pushes the guy's face into like a concrete corner, and you see it dent into his head, and you're like, oh, he's so dead.
Yeah, they're very visual films to talk about an audio podcast.
They are very visual films.
thanks. Seamless.
However, obviously, as well, not obviously, I guess, but as Dave predicted, the first film has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 85%, and the second film has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 79%, which is still very good.
Yeah, neither of them are. Yeah, like that's not an excruciating difference.
No, it's excruciatingly short. You know,
the difference.
Yeah, 6
is a very short number.
Yeah. Interestingly, though, one of the reasons I think... first, I'll just say I preferred I'm a script dude, right? Like, I real like a good story, and I can appreciate a simple story. I think the Raid 1 was a little too simple for me. And the Raid 2 was a little too complicated. Not too complicated, but in comparison to the first one, I went in expecting something almost as simple. We got something very complicated that required me to be reading the Wikipedia page along with it to understand.
Well, what I did with like both movies was because I wanted to see what it was like. Because one, I'm not really a big fan of dubs, and it's not me trying to be like pretentious. But I only want to like hear it from its original version. But when it's got subtitles, you get to hear all of the background noise, and you get to actually hear it properly. And I find that with dubs, it just seems a bit cartoony. But since I've seen the movie before, I was like, I can watch the dub. And that way, the Raid 2, I was so much better as a dub because you're able to understand where the characters are coming from.
That's pretty
And you're not having to go from looking at the screen to looking at the subtitles, and you're not losing track. And I think that if you were to watch the movies, watch it that way because the first one is just action. And it's so simple and it's like...
You could watch it without reading the subtitles and go, yeah, they're good guys defeating bad guys. Yeah.
And then in the second one, because then when I watched it the first time, the Raid 2, when I watched it the first time, I didn't really pick up on what all of the like where people stood with each other, and because you'd confuse the lines. But this time round, you're like, oh, I get it. I know the main character's name is Rama. It took me like 4 watches of the movie to be like, okay, what's their names? And yeah, oh my gosh, the second one is just the script is so good.
Well, one of the reasons why the second script is so much more intricate than the first might be because, and this is a first for our podcast, as far as I can tell, this is our first franchise where the second film was actually conceived before the first.
Oh.
So basically the original Berandal concept, which I think was originally involved like quite a lot more in the prison, which we did get in the second one, but I think it was all set in the prison. The original concept got as far as shooting a teaser trailer before Gareth Evans and his team decided that they needed to scale down the project significantly, which resulted in the first film, which did so well that it secured the budget needed for the sequel.
Yeah, because it felt like they were wiping a clean slate at the very start of the second movie. Like, you got rid of the brother, which was like the whole point of the first film. You killed everyone that was pretty much part of the first movie that had a point. And then you go into all the characters in the next movie. None of them had anything to do with the first movie. But like halfway through the movie, like the characters were so interesting that I was like, I don't really care. This is like, I like these new characters.
It's Rama's story. The two films show you Rama's story, not the story of the Raid team.
And I was like thinking about it, like Rama really just got into a shit place at a shit time because he had nothing to do really with any of all the shit that was happening. And then just out of nowhere he's like, well, now my brother's dead and I've got to sort out this shit. I haven't seen my wife in 4 years and it's all gonna be a problem now.
Yeah, personally I think he shouldn't have done the Raid.
No. Also, like, he just knows how to fight really well. You've got no history of like
you don't know that.
Where Rama. No, but
you don't know he can fight well. Where are you getting that?
I just assumed they'd been trained as part of their process as being a SWAT team.
Or but he was like way better than everyone else.
Yeah, I think it's fair enough to assume that Rama's a pretty good fighter.
I think I worry we're getting a little bit too ahead of ourselves. Do you want to pull back and maybe Richard, could you tell us sort of the motivations of Rama? Dave mentioned his brother. Dave mentioned. So are you good? You're looking at me like don't throw to me for this.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know.
You don't know? You just don't know? You don't know how to describe it?
Yeah, it's so intricate.
So basically, in the first
film... I didn't watch the films.
In the first film, one of the big baddies in the apartment complex is Rama's brother. Andy. And at the start of the second film, Andy is what would assassinated basically.
Yeah, he's assassinated because he was okay. So in the first film, Rama is trying to save his brother Andy. That's the secret kind of thing that you figure out halfway through the film. And Andy is second in charge to the main boss of the film.
Of the building.
I'm just laughing at Richard because he's like, "Oh, don't throw it at me! I'm learning this for the first time too."
Don't make me talk about the raid. I didn't read the subtitles.
I didn't realize there was subtitles.
And so Andy and Mad Dog are the two second in charge to the main dog. I can't remember his name. And so Rama is trying to save Andy and kind of get in contact with him. You get that at the very start because you meet Rama's wife.
Yeah, Andy's like Rama's Martha from Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I'm going to contribute to this podcast.
And
referencing other films.
And then, but then there's another plot. There's another plot where it's actually they're all corrupt cops, and all the cops that are entering the building don't know this, but it's actually a suicide mission. They're like a suicide squad. They're not getting out of there.
Yeah.
Okay. But
much
the white-haired
like
man,
the film Suicide Squad.
Just quickly, the main bad guy in the first film, his name is Tama.
Tama, yeah.
Tama and Rama.
Tama Riyadi. And his two lieutenants, Andy and Mad Dog.
Do you think that's the same as us, calling someone like Stefan and Steven, over there, like Rama and Tama, to us
over there.
To us, it's like, oh yeah, those are two similar names. We might get confused. But
I didn't think that Tama and Rama were. I guess they're only.
I'm just going for the armors.
Yeah.
Oh, and Mama.
Much like the
they
armor.
could have gone with some armor.
There you go. There it is. So, Dave, we got you on this episode specifically because I know for a fact you love this kind of film. I don't hate it, but I wouldn't say this is my kind of film.
Why isn't it your kind of film?
I think I care more about character and how character and story play with each other.
Okay.
Whereas this is more... The characters aren't indicative of the story. They're just they're interesting characters, they are, and the second one more so, but they're put in a very simple, it's fun, it's a fun movie, but I wouldn't call it, the first one anyway, I wouldn't call one of my favourite movies. Wouldn't call the second one of my favourite movies either, but there you go.
But just saying, because you're really interested in character, what did you think of the improvement from the first film to the second film?
It's so much of an improvement that
I hated it.
You'd hardly... Well, it's not that I hated it, but it is an inconsistent change. It is a very inconsistent sequel because it could almost be... You could change the character names, call it not the Raid 2, just call it Berandal, and you wouldn't even think for a second that it's a sequel, really. And I mean, it originally wasn't. So
but if you're going off the Raid 2 and how they incorporated all the fights into it, there was a lot of weight put onto all the fights. That's pretty cool character stuff, character development. Script. I mean, every time, cool script, man. Because there was that whole thing with the big machete man, because Mad Dog the actor played another character in the next one.
Yeah, I believe his name was Big Machete Man.
I can't remember his name. Do you remember his name, Richard?
No, it was Big Machete Man.
But so you'd get all of this little character stuff. You'd find out that he had a family and that he wasn't just an assassin. He wasn't just a dirty, messy, homeless assassin. He had a wife that he was paying paying her off so she could let their daughter survive and stuff. And you saw that he was kind of deflected by that and that she didn't want anything to do with him. And then straight after that, once you see the photo, they go into the big fight where he's pretty much getting assassinated by the other guy. And you're like, oh, there's a lot of weight to this because he is actually fighting for more than just money.
Oops.
I think...
I'm so sorry. I just dropped something on the table. That's what you just heard.
I think what part of my problem was that I definitely wasn't in the best mood to watch a 2.5 hour subtitled film.
Yeah, AJ was real grumpy and racist the other night.
What?
See, now that kind of sucks because it is a really good film, but it feels like you haven't given it the chance.
I definitely haven't.
To really call I know, I understand.
Well, I mean, I'm doing a podcast about it. That's more than
but if you're going to do a podcast of a film, when you want to give it as much attention as possible and not kind of go in with it.
I agree with you, Dave.
Whatever, Richard. You didn't even read the subtitles.
The implication is here that I didn't watch the films. I did. Ask me something visual about them.
What do they look like?
Okay.
Oh, they look really cool. Like, okay, that's a good segue. These films have like a really cool visual style, and it's like I don't know enough about Indonesian cinema. Sue me. I don't know enough about Welsh cinema either because the director's Welsh. But I like the camera is shaky from time to time, but it's like you can tell what's going on at every single like second, and it's one of those things where you can tell that these are actually like really well trained martial artists because you're seeing the hits land, you're seeing the choreography. They're not having a cut on every hit, so that people, you're not. It's faking.
They actually hit each other.
Yeah.
Fun fact though. Fun fact: the Hammer Girl in the second film, that was her first ever. What do you call it? Role in a martial arts film. She had done no martial arts training before doing that film.
She was a builder. She knew her way around a hammer, just not martial arts.
Just to clarify, there's a trio of assassins in the second film, and one of them is referred to in the script as Hammer Girl, who's a girl with what do you think?
She's got knives.
She wears big inflatable pants.
She's got two hammers.
Two hammers.
And
So
she uses it to bludgeon her victims.
The trio of assassins was so cool. So you had like the Hammer Girl, you had like the baseball guy that would like be like, here, catch this ball, and he'd like smack them, and they'd like smack them
big
in the face with
machete
the ball.
man.
No, there was the two scythe guys, and then like lower tier was Machete Man.
Yeah.
But it's just like, how can you not like enjoy that? Like,
You've got the wrong idea. I enjoyed them.
Yeah. I think that they're films that you need that would be best enjoyed in cinema. And consumed in that way.
Without a Wikipedia page to distract me trying to understand the movie.
oh, definitely. But you could have just like read the subtitles.
I was trying to read the subtitles and read the Wikipedia.
Were you on your phone? Were you?
I was on my
Facebook?
laptop.
Were you on your Facebook?
No.
Were you not doing that?
No.
You know, guys, I really am excited for this film. It's a good film.
You mentioned to me that you'd written some notes on the Raid films.
Yeah.
Do you have any you'd like to bring table?
Okay. Can I ask you guys?
Table.
Can I ask you guys?
That's a term. What do you want to bring table here?
It's like bring a plate, but a table.
I'd like to bring a small table, maybe enough for like 4 cups.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one side dish and the main kind of maybe like a nice sauce with a garnish.
Why would you list the side dish first?
Because I was trying to improvise, and that was the first thing that came to
You're
my
like,
head.
oh, okay, side dish and a main. Like, I feel like the table would be fitted for the main, and the side dish is an extra. If you're making a table for a side dish and you're able to squeeze a main in, you've done your job terribly. If you're making it for a main dish and you can squeeze in a side, that's great.
Yeah, probably. So, what were your guys' favorite fight scenes or fight moments in
the last one in the Raid 2 is dope.
Yeah,
when they've got the the bad guy gets those knives that they kind of wear them like knuckle dusters, and the blade is curved, so they're like really hard to disarm. And he gets a couple of nicks on Rama, like into his knee and stuff like that. But like it's in a kitchen. The choreography of that is amazing.
Did you know his name was Rama before we started saying
Yes.
his name? Okay.
I told you it was Rama while we watched it.
What? No, Wikipedia told me that.
During the second one, you were like, "Oh, so the main guy's name is Rama." I was like, "Yeah, I know."
What I really loved as well
That's not you telling me.
Well,
That's you affirming.
I'm backpedaling.
I also really like how there's there is a silliness to the whole movie. Like I'm not taking it serious. You're not taking it seriously the whole time because you got like a person who uses a baseball bat and a ball for a weapon. But what I'm trying to say is that Rama's endurance is ridiculous.
Oh, it's
Rama's
insane.
a very cool character.
Yeah.
And I think that's like done on purpose. I don't think that's like, he's invincible. It's like, look, like this is a bit stupid how a guy can.
Yeah, like because the movies do take themselves quite seriously. Not like they're fun, but there's not time for jokes kind of thing.
No.
And like I mean, there is that kind of like nervous laughter, that release of tension that you get sometimes with some of the setups they have with the fights, but. Yeah, like you said, there's this sort of like, at the moment, people love when film characters get hurt. Like there's, it's a TV show, but people talk a lot about in Daredevil, the Marvel TV series, how he gets hurt and he gets injured and he feels it for the rest of the episode until he recovers, kind of thing. And so when this movie came out, like
there was one point where Rama got his ligament cut underneath his kneecap, and he was still fine. He was still pulling these amazing stunts.
Yeah, but it's like this is the complete opposite of what people are always clamoring for, which is and like John Wick's another one where he gets hurt, but like
quite a lot.
Yeah, quite a lot. But whereas this one, it's it's borderline a superhero film.
It reminded me of. Have you guys ever seen Crank?
No,
yes,
I haven't.
Crank 1 and 2. I love Crank, and these were like the Indonesian cranks.
Yeah. There was also just what was I going to say? No, you carry on, AJ. I've lost my train of thought.
Well, one thing that I wanted to talk about, and that we usually talk about, I should rather say we talk a lot about on this podcast, is titles. We're going to talk about the titles for a small.
Is that because that's the only thing you remember of the film?
Oh, I knew the character's name was Rama all along. I honestly did.
You didn't even remember the name of the bad guy, or the guy who plays a different character in the second film, whose name I tried to look up, but the Wikipedia page is just a barrage of names I can't pronounce and couldn't find it. Anyway,
I'm fine calling him Big Machete Man.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the titles for a second.
Fired.
Right through my face.
So the Raid movies both actually have various versions of their titles, which mostly consist of other translations and dropping each film's subtitle. So, for example, Redemption was actually added to the Raid. The Raid Redemption used to just be called The Raid, but they had to add the Redemption part because in America there's already a film called The Raid, I think. They couldn't secure the rights to just The Raid. And the second film actually tends to drop Berandal as its subtitle in most official cases. So the version we actually watched was just The Raid 2. When you look it up on Wikipedia, the first title it gives you is The Raid 2, then in brackets, Berandal.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like Redemption makes sense for an international market, whereas like Berandal, most people, because it's not even really explained in the film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like the redemption is like, okay, one of the characters gets redeemed, sure.
Yeah.
But then Berandal's like, most people are going to come into it and not really know what that means.
Well, Berandal is Indonesian for gangster or thug.
The Raid gangster.
Yeah. But it kind of annoys me that in most official cases, the first one's called The Raid Redemption, the second one's called The Raid 2. Because, why would you drop the subtitle?
Because there's The Raid 1.
You wouldn't... Well,
the first one should just be called The Raid 1.
Anyway.
Or the first Raid.
In Indonesia, the first film was also known as Subuhan Maut, which translates to The Deadly Raid.
Which translates to The Raid.
The Deadly Raid. Yeah. What did you think of... Do you like the titles? Because Redemption... Why is it called The Raid Redemption? If I was to describe that film, Redemption would not be in my list of key messages the film gives out. So, Dave, tell me, why is it called Redemption?
I've always known it as just The Raid. I kind of just learnt today that it was called The Raid Redemption. I haven't had any time to think about it.
Well, think about it. You've got time right now. This is free form. This is smooth jazz.
I think it would be called The Raid Redemption because...
Well, because there's a raid.
Yeah. There's a raid, and they have to...
And it's The Raid. So that's where that comes from.
I guess, the only way you could really use the title Redemption, it's not the only way, but, because of Andy. It's just because Andy gets, kind of redeems... You've already said it before. He redeems himself. Besides that...
It was one of your key words when describing the film.
I never said that.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I've never used the word redemption.
I didn't even know what that was until I looked up the definition.
I didn't even know the main character's name. I did.
It's just interesting to me because obviously that redemption is very much a word that's going to put butts in seats, but I don't get what... Can you think of why it would be called redemption, Richard?
Butts in seats.
Yeah?
Got to make that money.
Assuming they're referring to Rama, who's the main character, he doesn't redeem himself.
I don't know. I think maybe there's a second definition of redemption that we're not thinking of here. Can it mean fight?
Maybe it means it in a meta sense that this is the director
redeeming himself after his critically acclaimed first film.
Yeah. That's all I had to say.
Well, yeah. We can always cut this up.
Not now.
What do you guys think of like? Because we watched a film that was. Well, I watched a film that was dubbed into English. But when you think like other countries who don't mainly speak English watch stuff like Star Wars dubbed. What do you think they get?
Well, I watched The Force Awakens for the first time in Thailand, and it had Thai subtitles and was in English. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they have. When you look at movie times and like say I don't know, I mean, I can't speak for every country, but in Thailand, you look at the movie times, it'll have like The Force Awakens. They'll say like EN/TH, which is English with Thai subtitles, or we'll just say TH, and it's in Thai.
Oh yeah.
I assume in other countries they're probably not just in Thai.
Yeah, they have English with Thai subtitles.
Right. In every country?
Yeah.
Okay.
While watching The Raid 2, when Rama was in prison, I had this... I was looking at what he was eating while he was talking to his mate, and I was like, man, prison food in Indonesia looks pretty decent. It was this rice and like a fish cake.
Are we just moving on from talking about other languages? Because I had a point.
Oh, yeah. What was your point?
when we found a stream for The Raid 2, it was in
You
Indonesian.
mean when we bought the Blu-ray?
It was in Indonesian, and it had the option for probably like 15 different languages for subtitles. English wasn't one of them. That's the first time that's ever happened to me, and I was furious.
Yeah, AJ was like, why would someone who speaks Arabic watch The Raid 2?
It was on a website where all the website was written in English.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just my.
He actually said that though.
Yeah. What?
He was so mad at the fact that someone who speaks Arabic might watch the same film as him.
What do you guys think of like all the like? Did you guys enjoy all the fight scenes in the movies?
Yeah, no, they're all creative. They're for probably over 4 hours of fight scenes. They don't really repeat themselves. They say. Well, I mean, obviously they do. You could. To the layman who, doesn't watch that many Indonesian martial arts films, you might think they look repetitive. Mm-hmm. But to me, there's definitely different subtleties across them, and I think, they stay interesting.
I just thought that, like, near the end, it kind of felt like playing a game of Pokemon when before you get to the boss, you have to, like, fight all the henchmen, like the big line of henchmen.
That is very video game.
And you're just like, I know Rama can beat the shit out of some henchmen. Can you just put him in front of, like, someone who's going to be a decent, like, adversary against this guy? And so that's why, like, the last bit of The Raid 2 was so great. And I loved how they ended it. They ended it completely with no dialogue. Like, you can only see these mouths moving, and you saw these Japanese like gangsters.
Oh, that was
right. So to clarify, the Raid 2 ends with Rama basically doing another raid on another high-rise building by himself this time, where he takes out...
He's gone off the grid.
Yeah, where he takes out all the villains, and it's a very selfless act because he's actually got a wife and newborn baby back home, but he wants to... Well, it's not newborn anymore because it's 2 years
Because his
later.
mate tells him that because the gang scene in Indonesia and Japan it's like a hydra. It's like a hydra dragon. If you cut off one head, 3 grow back.
Yeah.
And so he's like, you got to kill all of them. Yeah. And Rama's like, I guess I just got to kill all of them. So and he does.
The last 20 or so minutes of the Raid 2 is Rama killing all the bad guys, and he does it, and then he walks downstairs, and then all the like gangsters he didn't kill, I think they're from another rival gang, walk in, and you're like, oh shit, is this going to be it for old Rama? And then you see the bad guy say something, but there's no subtitles and there's no audio. And then you see Rama say something back, and there's no subtitles, there's no audio. I think you hear Rama's chief talking to him on his walkie-talkie, being like, what's going on? No, he's in the car about to get there, but he's not getting there in time. And then Rama says something like, what does he say? He says like, no, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done. Not to insult you in any way, Dave, but Hydra is not a reference I'd expect you to make.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad you did.
Oh,
it was good. It was
Thanks,
really
man.
good. But it was
it's like Red Skull. Remember when we were in the car?
Yeah. I was just trying to say, yeah.
One time I made a reference to Red Skull, and Richard was like, "Oh, he knows what Red Skull is."
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not so much that like I was surprised that you knew what Red Skull is. I mean, I would have thought it'd be in the recesses of your mind somewhere, but the fact that it was like you're like, oh, what's a villain? Red Skull. And I was like, the Joker, number one, the Joker, number 2, Red Skull. And I mean, of course, maybe you've just watched Captain America recently, and that's where you got Hydra and Red Skull from. But I'm
already trying to find ways. How does he know all of these random facts? Oh, there's a through line. Captain America,
like
the movie.
the Venn diagram of every reference you make. I find
my mind was working on Disney's Hercules, and I was like, okay, there's a Hydra in there. Where's there a Red Skull in there? But I couldn't quite get there in the end.
I also, what do you guys think was like the worst death for someone in both movies?
Anyone who got assaulted by the Hammer Girl, I was like, oh.
Worst to like endure for the victim.
Yeah, which one do you think you just would not want to have gone through?
There was one that stuck out to me, and it's like the camera's just like breezes past it. It's during the prison fight scene, but you see someone getting their jaw ripped off.
Yes! Oh, that was so rough. And you see it, you just only see the blood on the sides of the mouth.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, God!
Like, it's like someone's grabbing like his 2 sets of teeth and rips them apart. And the camera, honestly, it's probably on it for like less than a second, probably like 10 frames. And you just see the sides of his mouth split open.
The Chelsea smile.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chelsea rip.
Yeah, I want to know how he got those scars.
Mine was...
That's actually a Joker origin story. That guy survives and goes on to become the Joker.
Really?
It's called The Raid, The Joking.
Yeah, we're actually supposed to watch The Dark Knight
Killing
as part
Raid.
Part of this franchise. It's actually the 3rd film, but also the 2nd film of another franchise.
What film do you guys, what film would you be able to slot in the Raid chronology, do you reckon?
Oh, that's good.
Like, if you had to make this a triple feature by watching another film, what would you pair with it?
I'll pair, like... I don't know why, but Ip Man just keeps coming to me. But I think that's just because Donnie Yen is like a badass.
But then you have to watch all 3 of them.
He's a badass. Maybe The Purge? I don't know. It's kind of weird, but like if you think about like...
The Rage, The Purge.
I don't know why I'm thinking The
Rage.
Purge.
Did I say The Rage?
Yeah, you did.
The Rage Against the Purge?
Yeah, Rage Against the Purge.
What about you?
Dread. Yeah.
Dread, yes, of course.
It reminded me a lot of Dread.
Yeah, because it's like storming an apartment block. Yeah, the Raid in the future is just Dread. If the Raid wanted to show off their slow-mo camera and the fact that they're in 3D, it would be Dread.
Yeah.
No.
Dread is the Raid meets Blade Runner and should have been called Raid Runner.
Oh yeah, I didn't enjoy that. Like most of the first movie that we watched, AJ, you just kept on thinking about Blade Runner, and you just kept on like talking about Blade Runner. And I was
Let's talk about Blade Runner.
What do you guys think of the end of 2049?
I haven't seen it.
100 people just switched
Massive
off.
spoilers for Blade Runner 2049 incoming. I'm not. Yeah,
I thought the worst death on the Raid was definitely the cooking face guy, where he gets his face slammed.
And then he finds out it was an undercover cop.
Yeah.
And so he's the main character, who is an undercover cop, just kills another cop. Well, he's a crooked cop, not an undercover cop, so it's kind of okay. But
that's fine that he was sautéed.
Oh man! Oh, and how tense was the moment where Rama rips off the wire at the beginning? You're like, why did he rip that off? And then later on, he's like, stripped down.
Yeah.
Yeah, Richard, what did you think of that moment where he rips the wire off?
Well, it was cool. And then they strip him naked, and then he's on the phone to his boss. He's like, "Why the fuck would you get me to wear a wire on my first mission?"
And the music that he plays to like drown out the noise just made that scene so good.
It did. When Rama was doing that thing.
When you were making dinner and I had to recap you when you walked back into the room.
Man's got to eat.
Can we like do a podcast? Can we re-watch the film
right now?
No,
all right. There's no English subtitles.
So I feel like you guys are just kind of like taking the mickey out of the Raid.
No, look, Dave, I really enjoyed the Raid.
If you think I'm taking the mickey out of the Raid, you're going to hate my Continue the Franchise, which we're moving on to now.
Okay. Let's just steer the podcast in whatever direction AJ wants to.
Where do you want to take it?
I want to continue the franchise, but not because you said it.
So this is a segment where we come up with, similar to what we were doing by saying what movie would fit with it, except this is supposed to fit. Well, I guess, it's continuing the franchise. You know it.
It doesn't have to be a movie.
Doesn't have to be a movie.
Doesn't have to be an existing movie. It can be one you make up.
It doesn't have to be even like a tangible concept.
It could be love.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be.
My continued franchise for The Raid is love.
So, before we get to that, outside of the two films, the Raid franchise has actually been continued in a couple of ways over the years, including a graphic novel, a stop-motion short film, and in 2016, Gareth Evans announced a comic series was in the works, and I couldn't find if it had come out yet. I couldn't find any information anywhere about that.
That's interesting.
A third film was announced after the release of the second, and mirroring how the first sequel took place 2 hours after the original, the third film would reportedly take place 3 hours before the end of the second film.
Yeah.
However, Gareth Evans has since postponed it indefinitely, stating that moving back to the UK felt like closing a chapter on the franchise. We ended the story pretty neatly, I feel, in part 2. I'm aware there's an interest for it, so never say never, but it's unlikely to happen anytime soon.
Yeah. There was also talk of an American remake.
Well, there still is, Richard.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
It hasn't been talks for a wee while, but...
Actually, yes, it has. As recent as February of this year.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
An American remake is still in the works. Several members of the cast and crew have dropped out since the remake was announced and the project started in 2011, with actors such as Chris Hemsworth, Liam Hemsworth, Frank Grillo, and Taylor Kitsch all floating around the project at some point, as well as director Patrick Hughes, who later dropped out and was replaced with Joe Carnahan, who is still currently attached to the project as director, with Gareth Evans serving as producer.
I don't want to see that film.
Yeah, Joe Carnahan's not too bad. Then if Gareth Evans is still involved, it's like, yeah,
But as a
there
producer-
could be some merit to it. I mean, yeah, it's not going to ruin the original Raid. It doesn't necessarily have the same plot. I mean, Dread's cool. That's American.
Yeah.
Films aren't made worse necessarily by being remade.
So,
Old boy.
who wants to go first?
Death Note.
That wasn't a remake. That was the reinterpretation.
And also, just because you say films aren't necessarily made bad because they're a remake, doesn't mean that every remake is good either.
Yeah.
That's not what you were meaning. So, Richard, do you want to dish us up your continue the franchise
Okay,
first?
so have you guys seen the movie Dread?
Yeah.
Cool, because that has nothing to do with my continue the franchise.
Okay.
Okay, so I was thinking along the lines of, so the first one is a horror, which is like a survival horror, which has action. The second one is a courtroom drama. It's not a courtroom drama, it's just a drama. A la The Departed, but with action.
A crime film.
Yeah, crime drama with action. I think let's do a romantic comedy with action.
Oh.
How Rama Met His Wife.
A preaky.
A preaky. It's called...
A cheeky preaky.
Yeah. So, it's not a film.
Oh.
It's just the concept of love. Dave, what's your one?
What's the concept of love, Richard?
You'll know it when you feel it.
One day I'll feel it. I thought that was just the movie Serendipity, but
The concept of love or Richard's film?
no, the concept of love.
okay.
I thought that was already summed up with the movie Serendipity.
No, that was...
That was the concept of serendipity.
Oh, darn it.
Whereas actually interesting, the film Melancholia is the feeling morose.
Dave.
Is that like the Underwater Melon Man?
Yeah, same thing.
Because he was a melancholy man.
Yeah.
That's
I
like
wanna-
bittersweet.
Melancholy and
Melancholy is like melancholy is like
Bittersweet.
bittersweet.
Yeah, it's like happy at how sad you are.
If I was an ice cream
Melancholy and the
maker,
infinite sadness.
I'd make a flavour of ice cream called watermelon collie, and it's watermelon flavoured with like a hint of sadness.
With a hint of cauliflower.
Yeah.
That's the sad part. Oh no.
For me,
Dave,
the
tastes
sad
like
part-
vegetables.
For me, the sad part would be that it tastes like watermelon 'cause it's fucking disgusting.
I love
Dave,
watermelon.
as the guest, I would normally invite you to go next, but I feel like your one's going to be real good and my one's real stupid, so I'm going to go next.
Okay.
My continue the franchise is also a wee prequel, a wee preaky, a cheeky preaky, taking us thousands of years back to pre-civilization Indonesia, and it's the same thing, but instead of it's the first one, but instead of a high-rise building, it's like an Indonesian temple, and it's called the Tomb Raid.
Nice.
They're already making that. Alicia Vikander's in it.
Oh, well, good. I guess they took my idea. Right, Dave, what's...
That's probably the best idea then, because it's the only one in production right
Yeah,
now.
that's
Yeah.
true.
I
We haven't heard yours yet.
I don't even want to hear Dave's after that.
Do you guys want to hear it?
I would love nothing more than to hear it.
I want to hear yours more than I want to see the Tomb Raid starring Alicia Vikander.
I want it to be like, because there's a type that there's like this kind of martial arts films, like, you know, like tournament martial arts films, you know, like on Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, like the World Tournament.
World Tournament.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, in Dragon Ball Z, and Vegeta and Goku fight in the first round.
Yeah.
And, you know, Goku has a lot to eat, and he says, oh man, I hope I don't get punched in the stomach. And Vegeta's like, if I'm fighting Kakarot, the first thing I'm going to do is punch him in the gut. And the Great Saiyaman enters.
I thought you meant like an actual movie.
Oh, no, yeah. And then, obviously, as we all know, is it Bardock shows up? Is that his name? Bardock?
Yeah.
But who's Bardock? Bardock's the little dude, is it?
No, he's the dude that looks like Goku.
Oh, no, Bardock's Goku's dad. Deborah shows up. Margin
It's
Deborah.
pronounced Deborah.
Margin Deborah shows up and then makes Margin Vegeta, and then obviously you get Vegeta's, I'm going to think of the word, it's not redemption, it's another word.
The Raid. Berandal.
Vegeta's Berandal. There's a word that I learnt because it's in the name of an episode of Vegeta, the show, of Dragon Ball Z, when he blows himself up and he like knocks out Trunks, his son.
Trump.
Because it's too much.
It's a prediction.
Anyway.
Prophecy.
And then obviously you get the whole boo side.
When I was in
Dave still.
When I was in my final year of high school, we did for drama class, we did a production of Daughters of Heaven, which is based on the true story of those two girls that murdered one of their mums in Christchurch.
Oh, Heavenly Creatures.
Heavenly Creatures. But
beautiful
the play was called Daughters of Heaven.
Right.
And one of the characters goes by the name of Deborah in it, and every freaking girl in my drama class would pronounce it Deborah. And one day I stood up, I was like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do this if you guys are all going to pronounce it Deborah.
Yeah. It was Final Atonement was the episode I was thinking.
Ah, nice.
One more name mispronunciation before we continue the franchise. Before the first Harry Potter movie came out, there was a guy in my class who insisted that it was pronounced Hermione. And everyone was like, no, it's Hermione. He's like, you've never heard it out loud. It could be Hermione. And like, he got real angry about it.
Yeah, my dad pronounced it Hermione. It was really weird.
Well, apparently, according to J.K. Rowling, it's pronounced Voldemort, not Voldemort.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh.
So there you go. Anyway, Dave, what are we talking about? Continue the franchise. The Raid 3?
Yeah, the one you really wanted to hear about.
Man.
But then we started talking about Deborah and Deborah.
It's important.
It is.
Go.
Yeah, I guess mine was just gonna be like a tournament kind of style movie, and Rama fights.
Like an actually official tournament, or that's just the way that would be structured?
Yeah, like an official tournament, like something a bit more like kind of easy going. Because I mean, like the last two films were just so intense. Like,
right.
What was great about like Ip Man and Ip Man 2 was like Ip Man was really dark and really sad, but then Ip Man 2 was a lot like lower stakes and like.
Yeah. And then Mike Tyson's in it, man.
Yeah. Oh man, Ip Man 3 is so bad.
Mike Tyson's pretty cool,
Okay, so would it be like
hold on to your ears?
An actual we got it, AJ. You can stop looking at us like that. AJ was giving us a look as if to say,
please laugh.
So like an actual tournament, so he's not like fighting for his life, he's fighting for
Yeah.
That'd be cool, and then you could introduce like halfway through that like maybe, Cell, and he's gonna absorb Rama if he
It just
doesn't
becomes an alien movie, just halfway through.
Oh dude, that's a cool pitch.
But that'd be cool.
I like Dave's pitch for Cell versus Rama, the Raid 3.
That'd be cool though.
The title?
Because then
Let's talk about that title.
at least the aliens would die, and you wouldn't like feel sorry for the aliens because you know that they were like the bad guy.
Yeah, because they've already absorbed Android 18.
Yeah, I always feel sorry for aliens in movies when they die. Alien.
They didn't know they would die.
Alien 3. Cool.
Independence Day. I don't know what's in it.
No, there's no aliens in Independence Day.
Close Encounters of the Alien Kind. E.T. the Alien. That's what it was called.
Close Encounters.
It was just called the Alien.
Cool. So we are at the butt end of the pod.
Best place to be.
The
right?
pod butt, as I like to call it.
Yeah. Can I do a little plug?
We're not quite finished. If you're plugging what I think you want to plug, we've still got another segment.
All right.
This segment's called Fan Mail.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to, Dave, if you'll indulge us for a second, I've got some comments from fans that I'm going to read out. And feel free to comment on them if you'd like, Dave.
Sick.
Or even relate them to the raid if you want.
I'll relate them to your life.
So, David Brown, who's one of our regular commenters, he commented this on our Land Before Time episode. He said, The Land Before Time. Just watched the first movie and it's still very good. Great animation, amazing characters, and a meaningful message. The sequels, on the other hand, gets childish and gets very predictable. Love the video, guys. And can you do Lilo and Stitch next?
All right, we'll ignore that last comment. But what word did he use to describe the first one?
Very good.
That is 2 words, I apologise. But I think that's a stretch.
Yeah, I mean, we covered that. Brent Taylor, who's our friend from Texas, he also commented and he said...
Sorry, just before you go, I would love to do Lilo and Stitch next, but as we are bound by the rules of the podcast.
Yeah. Brent Taylor said, gents, I won't lie, I glazed over on the politics thing, because we were talking about politics in it.
Yeah, I spent a long time explaining the MMP system.
Until I heard my own name, because then we called him out to say we're explaining it to him specifically. And he said, sorry to hear you're getting trumped, referring to Winston Peters. And then he said, Chris Christopherson is Alice in Chains to Johnny Cash's Nirvana, which was a comparison Richard made, is so freaking perfect. Also, he's the Whistler in the Blade series. But I won't ask you to do the Blade series next because, and this is in caps, I know how the podcast works, David Brown.
Yeah.
Brent, we love you, man. You're the best.
David, we love you too, David. Both Davids.
Thank you.
David CorrEos or David Brown?
Both Davids.
Oh, okay.
The only 2 Davids I know. The only 2 Davids that matter to me. Yeah. As of the recording of this podcast, an update for you, Brent. Winston Peters still not made a decision. Tomorrow's his deadline, but he came out today and said, you'll find out when I fucking feel like it.
He's
and
so
it's probably
cool,
going to be Friday, maybe the weekend. I don't give a shit. Fuck you, New Zealand.
Okay.
That's what he said. It was real weird.
We got another comment from a guy named Mr. Shy Ryhud. And he said, how do you not like American Tail, which is another Don Bluth film like Land Before Time, which I specifically mentioned I didn't think was very good.
Oh, what?
American Tail.
American Tail is really good.
And then I replied to it and I said, it's been a while since I've seen it. Should I give it another go? And then someone named Riddleman65 said, Cold Pops, you sound like you have a pretty shit taste, so I doubt they would help.
You didn't like the raid.
Riddleman65 also left his own comment and said, you guys have autism. Thank you, Riddleman. I'm sorry, I guess if you don't like the 13... Land Before Time sequels, that means you have autism. But also, what an ableist comment.
Yeah,
man.
Like, I don't know. I want to see the record straight so that I don't have autism, but now that feels like I'm offended by the accusation.
Yeah.
Like as if I'm putting some sort of negative connotation on the word. But I mean, honestly, I think the negative should be on you for using, you're different from me as an insult. I mean, actually, no, I kind of want to be different from you because you sound like an asshole.
However, Riddleman65, please subscribe, like and comment. Keep doing it. No.
No, we don't want you.
Our friend Michael Baston, he commented on the Land Before Time Facebook post and said, it's like after the first one, they're just an avenue for Make-A-Wish children to be voice actors in a movie. Which I thought was a pretty funny way of looking at Land Before Time.
Yeah.
And way back on our Monsters Inc., I forgot to mention this last episode. On our Monsters Inc. episode, Tim Tabor123 said, I hope you guys roll cars at some point. It would be cool to see if you can find a connecting theme like you did with Shrek. Then he said Shrek is probably our second best episode in between the tie that is Beethoven and Medea. So that's a nice little comment from Tim Tabor, who's a regular commenter of ours.
Yeah.
What do you think of those, Dave?
It was good.
All right, so that was our fan mail, and that's the podcast for this fortnight.
Or is it? That's right, I've got stuff to say.
Rich has got stuff to say.
All right, so you might be listening to this on iTunes, you might be listening on SoundCloud, you might be listening on YouTube. Good news, if you...
Don't like those three things.
On the off chance that you... Just kick the table while I'm talking.
Just start that again, Richard?
Nah, we'll keep that in. On the off chance that for some reason, you normally use Stitcher or something called Podiant. I don't know if I'm saying that right. P-O-D-I-A.
Podiant?
It's like Pod Giant, but with
right.
you replace the G with the word pod. And you normally listen on those, and now you're like, you'd use one of those three just for this podcast. Good news, you can now find us on Stitcher. I've been doing some work during the week and trying to get us across the entire internet. And in doing so, I've also sort of started to light up our Twitter page a little bit, our Twitter feed, I believe.
At Popture.
Yep, and also we've started an Instagram, which I'm going to make the second post on right now. It's going to be at least 2 days old by the time you see this. But
I just post it up right now.
I'm going to, but then by the time the podcast comes out...
It'll be 2 days old.
Oh, right.
Oh, that's such a good thing of Dave looking like... You could go find this photo on Instagram so you know what I'm talking about. Give it a like.
Handle?
Our Instagram is @cultpopture, so instagram.com/cultpopture. Dave realising what I mean, and AJ... I don't know what you're doing, dude.
Posing for the photo. You don't get to choose if I was posing or not.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying
You
that
can
if you
criticise
were...
the pose.
Okay, then I'll criticise it. If you were posing, I don't like your tone.
All right.
So I'm going to put my phone down in just a moment. But first, we have some other stuff to do. So yeah, find us Twitter, Instagram. We also started a Tumblr page. It doesn't have anything on it at the moment, but maybe I'll by the time this is up, it will.
Fun fact about Tumblr, when the concept of Cult Popture, the title first was donated to me by my friend when I was trying to come up with a name for it, I googled Cult Popture to see if anyone else had thought of it. The only other post I found was a hashtag on Tumblr.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Didn't take off then, didn't take off now.
There's a podcast called The Cult of Popture.
Yeah,
but
there is.
confirmation this week, we are the 180th podcast, the highest rated podcast in the iTunes store under the TV and film category.
There you go.
So
let's get up to 179th.
That's our goal. Give us 5 stars or whatever you have to do on it.
You can actually do that on the iTunes update now, which is pretty cool.
Oh, sweet.
You can rate on the iTunes update if you've got an iPhone and you updated it.
Yeah. Okay, do that and like all those things and retweet us, tweet us, send us a DM, slide into our DMs on Instagram or Twitter, and I'll reply to them. If you do it on Facebook, AJ will probably reply to them. Mm-hmm. That tends to be the dichotomy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. I fucking used that word.
You did.
Dave, what do you think?
The Raid 3 dichotomy.
Dibs. You can't do it. Dave, what do you think of the word dichotomy?
I think I heard on Captain America the movie once. So
did Red Skull say it?
I think so.
Yeah, he was talking about Hydra.
Hydra is a dichotomy of...
And I'm Red Skull. Yeah, so... Yeah, that's exciting, but keep an eye out for the freshest memes and news, or I don't know what we're going to post on them, but it's going to be funny little gags and shit. You'll love it. Tweet us. Follow us.
So now we're going to do Franchise Roulette, which is where we randomly select the franchise we'll be covering in our next episode.
And I can guarantee it's not going to be Lilo and Stitch.
Okay. So, Dave...
not that there's any reason, I thought it'd be real funny if then it randomly was Lilo and Stitch.
Right. Dave, would you be able to kindly give us a number?
92.
Okay.
Can you say it real slow?
92.
Alright, 92 is... It's a 3-film franchise.
Oh.
I'm gonna describe...
Too many.
So it's one film,
yeah,
a prequel which no one returned for, and then a distant sequel.
Well, can I guess what it is?
Yep.
Is it Aladdin?
No.
Oh.
No, like a distant sequel came out years later.
Oh, okay.
Dave, any thoughts? A film, and then like a classic film, no one returned for a prequel, and then they did a distant sequel.
Toy Story?
No.
Toy Story. I don't know, man. What is it? You're killing me here.
Oh, I feel like you should get it.
I think there's a...
It was Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, cool. Dumb and Dumber. Tune in next week.
Oh, right.
Do you know I've only seen the prequel?
I think I've seen the
There's
original.
shit everywhere! There's shit on the wall!
That's the only thing I've seen.
If you slip it really fast, it tastes even better. God, that film's so fucked.
That's a cool series. That's the happiest I've been with a franchise for a long
So
time.
Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
Which had a very similar trajectory.
Oh my gosh.
With Jim Carrey. That was the connection.
Well, there was a distant one that came out after.
Yeah, which no one returned for. And a little I'm going to let you guys in on a secret. The audience, not you guys. But you guys can listen too. We're going to have a guest next week. If we cross our fingers hard enough, they might happen. I'm making it sound way more exciting than it is. I feel like no, it's exciting. It's exciting.
It is exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. If you're listening to this guest for next week, we're so excited to have you on. And do you know what? For the second time ever on Film Franchise Fortnights, I'm going to draw attention to it. We're having a female guest.
Oh, yuck. All right.
No, okay. We have, I don't know if no one's mentioned it, which is weird that we've gotten away
Because
with it.
the only people who listen to us are other men.
Yeah. Well, if we see our subs go down, we'll know why.
Yeah.
We're getting a female guest, hopefully. If the stars align, from another podcast.
On Dumb and Dumber.
Across the Ditch.
That's Dumb and Dumber, Dumb and Dumberer, and Dumb and Dumber 2. Yeah. Cool.
Okay. So we will catch you then, or we'll catch you another time. Dave, where can people find you?
If I was like, who's this wacky David Corrio's guy?
I hang out in Aotea Square quite a bit. You can probably catch me at Al's Deli on Queen Street. Chilling in my
Nando's.
room. Nando's.
Chilling in your room at Al's Deli.
They gave him a room.
Check me out on Instagram. I post a lot of shit on Instagram. DL Correos. It's DLCORREOS.
And
a Facebook page?
I don't really fucking put shit on Facebook. Add me on Facebook. Add me on Facebook. David Correos. If you're cute enough, I'll accept you. Guys and gals.
yeah, okay, thanks.
Okay.
And
everything in between.
Everything in between.
Dave, also, so this is coming out on Friday. A lot of our listeners in New Zealand. Are you doing anything?
Oh shit, yeah. If you want to come watch me do comedy on Saturday, I will be in Gore at the SBS St James Theatre at 8 p.m. With Cohen Holloway, and we're also doing another show on Sunday in Queenstown. They'll be at the Sherwood Hotel on Frankton Road, and then at the Gin and Raspberry in Ardmore Street in Wanaka on Monday. These are all 8 p.m. That's going to be the 14th, 15th, and 16th of October.
There'll
be Cohen Holloway will be joining me, who was on Hunt for the Wilder People and What We Do in the Shadows, if you're into those movies.
He's going to be in Thor Ragnarok, I believe.
Yeah, probably.
Sweet. Well, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for coming on the show once again, Dave. Your third time on the show.
Yes.
Yep.
Cool.
Our most featured guest. Is it because we live with him? Last week you gave up that I was like, oh, we'll ask Dave when we see him next. Everyone, you ring him right now. He's upstairs.
Technically, he's appeared on 4 as well. That means. So there you go.
What?
Because he was on last week's episode.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for listening, guys.
If you've got any female friends, tell them to listen next week because they'll have representation.
And if you've got any fan mail, please send it to cultpopturemedia@gmail.com or comment on wherever you're listening to this. Thank you very much, and
If you want to chat, if you want to chat to me, Twitter or Instagram. If you want to chat to AJ, Facebook
or YouTube. I also reply to the YouTube comments.
Okay.
Thank you very much for listening, everybody.
Thank you.
Good day.